promise to help each other, to celebrate the joys of life, and to console each other.
Hello. I am sorry, but I must interrupt this show. You know what it is? Hey, Ham Solo. It's time, baby. Low. It's time how we do. Hey. They said we said we hit. They said we said we own. They said we said we strong. They said we said we go. We say that you heard right. 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 They said we said we hit. They said we said we own. They said we said strong. They said we said go. We say that you heard right. 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 I swear that it's imminent. I've been going so hard on my penmanship. About to go in and buy me a whip. And I pull that shit fresh off the dealership. I can leave you on red like an Xbox. Got me laughing at you like you red fox. Got you chasing Hot Wheels like a matchbox. EA running the game and it don't stop. Super cold like I'm playing for Blitz. Got you all in my sights like Red Dead Redemption. Never gonna slip on my pimpin'. Better get out my way, bitch, I'm on a mission. Really ain't no competition. I'm steady grilling opposition. I'm get up and ready to win. They can play it how they play, but fuck what you say. I'm getting this money today. Last of us like a dying breed. Down the ride like a noble steed. Fatality moves, I make it bleed. That's on any game, that's on any screen. Shut up and give me your money. They said we so lit. Even if I take an L, we coming back just to show that we don't quit. They said we said we hit. They said we said we own. They said we said we strong. They said we said we go.
That's pretty neat. That is pretty neat. What the hell just happened? Oh, Lord. Okay, so this is nuts. There we go. All right. What the hell is happening? All right. Hold on a second. I don't know what the hell that was. Yeah. I just froze like crazy right there. Like my entire webpage just kind of freaked out on me right there. But what's cracking, everybody? Welcome to another episode of whatever we are doing here on Wednesday. I've been kind of feeling the need to kind of hop on podcasting and just kind of do it solo every once in a while. You know, the name's Ham Solo, so you know I got to do my damn thing like I do it. But I got some things I wanted to share with you guys for sure. We're going to be diving into a little bit more than what I had on the docket for today. When it comes to hold on. Yeah, when it comes to this whole like situation with, you know, Xbox and third party and PlayStation's killing it and all this other stuff. Like I just had a few thoughts that I wanted to do on it, but first and foremost, I wanted to talk about like Dragon's Dogma, my final thoughts on that since I just recently beat the game. And also I wanted to talk about the Stellar Blade demo. And then after I talk about those two, we're going to kind of talk about like the whole fan fest versus like Xbox's fans versus like Xbox's employees and stuff like that. Because I think it's been a little ridiculous as of lately. And I almost feel like the fans themselves sometimes hinder the company that they're actually going for and make them look worse than what's actually kind of going on behind the scenes. But anyways, hit that like button, share this out if you can. It would help me out a ton. I'd really appreciate it. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button and let's go on ahead and talk first about Dragon's Dogma, which I have pulled up on the screen right now. It is hella dark. Why is the gameplay so dark? But anyways, yeah, here it is right there. So let's go on ahead and get started with this game. Dragon's Dogma was a phenomenal game. The story was pretty cool. There was, for the most part, I paid a good amount of attention to it. There was some parts where I was a little bored. You know, it was a little bit dry, but the action in the game was phenomenal through and through. Reaching the end of the game doesn't take super duper long by any means, but at the same time, once you do reach that end of the game, it's pretty noticeable the way that they're kind of like talking about how this is the last thing. This is pretty much what we need to, you know, tie up all the loose ends, yada, yada, stuff like that. But I'd advise, if you are playing Dragon's Dogma and you're enjoying yourself, to try to do everything but beat the game. And here's why. The save system in Dragon's Dogma is dog shit. Just flat out here to tell you, I'm not going to beat around the bush with it or anything. The save system in Dragon's Dogma 2, the newest one that just recently came out, is dog shit. It's not very good. The game itself, phenomenal. A lot of fun. Had a blast playing it. Majority of the time that I was playing it, I was, in good spirits, happy, excited, ready to get into a battle. Some of those, treks to get from one area of the map to another took a long time, but I didn't mind it. At no point did I feel like, oh man, I needed a vehicle or something like that. I mean, shoot, would it have been nice? Maybe. I mean, there's always things that could be added to a game to make it better. But in particular, I was fairly satisfied with this game outside of the save system, which was really just abysmal to me. I don't understand how a game in 2024 um, has the save system that it has. Because, like, let's say you're like myself and you beat the game. Okay, right. You beat the game. You're like, all right, just took out the last boss, or got the true ending and did whatever. Okay. Because there is a true ending version of it. If you know what you're doing, it's not too hard to come across it. Hey, Nate Martin, what's cracking? Thanks for popping through. And shout out to everybody else in the chat. I'm seeing you guys. Vincent Vega, Mental 9R, Matt Hum, my filthy fucking cousin, is in the chat. That's great. It's good to see you, brother. Stanley Francois, Ray Chi. Good to see you guys. If there's others in the chat, you're more than welcome to pop through, say something, whether you're on Twitter watching this or on YouTube itself. It says I got 45 people here watching. I appreciate everybody that pulled up and decided to speak on it. But if you just want to kick back and you ain't trying to be all up in the chat and whatnot, it's all good. I'm just happy that you're here, chilling. But hey, what's cracking, Spider-Man? Thanks for hopping through. But yeah, going back through this game and whatnot. So, like, yeah, the save system itself. So let's say you beat the game. All right. Let's say you did what I did and, did a good amount of side stuff, but didn't do all of it. Right. And you were like, oh man, I'll beat the game and I'll get back into the side quest. Don't do it. Don't do it. Because as soon as you beat the game, you pretty much got to start over. Because the save system is that bad. The save system, there's only two choices. You can either start off from where you left off, which was literally like the last save that you had. And if you beat the game, the last save is you flying on something. I'm not going to tell you what's actually going on because I don't want to spoil the game. As I said in the description below, I don't want any spoilers. But let's say that you did the last dang thing that you're supposed to do, and you're like, yeah, I want to go back and do some of those side quests because that's what I thought, right? That's what I was hoping to be able to do. Yeah, that didn't happen. I only had two options to reload into where I was, which was the last mission, which you can't leave that once you get into it. And then the other load that you have goes to the last place that you stayed, the last inn that you were in, which would then mean that I have to beat the boss again. Which beating the boss, in my opinion, wasn't incredibly hard. I actually did it twice because when they put me back into the save that I got into, and I was like, oh, okay, this is the last fight again. I was hoping, maybe there's a final moment at the I beat the game kind of ceremony where I can pick to go back outside and continue doing what I'm doing. Nope, that wasn't available. So you'd have to either go back to the inn or just repeatedly do the last boss fight over and over, which I'm sure nobody wants to do. And then on top of that, you got to think about the gear that you have. So on the new game plus, it pretty much moves all the gear that you had into the next game. So you'll still have the swords that you had. You'll still have the armor that you had. You'll still have the money that you had. One thing I wasn't really certain if I had again was those tokens, but I don't believe I had them. They they might still be in my chest. Like there's a chest in the game that you can offload all your items and kind of get rid of them for right now and pick them back up later. So there is that chest area and whatnot, but you got to think about all the missions that you weren't able to do. Well, you're starting all over from the start of the video game again. So you got to do all the early missions, all the missions that you've already done before, yada, yada. And then on top of that, if you were kind of inching your way through the game, and you know how the more that you travel through Dragon's Dogma, the map appears as to where you've been versus where you haven't been. Well, when you go to the New Game Plus, it just clears the entire map. So it shows that you've been everywhere, even if in your previous game you hadn't. So it kind of takes that like the discoverability, if that's even a word, the discoverability away from you, which to me is kind of lame. You know, if you had some areas that you didn't look at before, and then the whole map shows that you looked at everything already, well, then it's kind of like it doesn't entice you to go to those areas that or maybe you don't even remember if you've been there or not. You know what I'm saying? So it's just kind of screws up that flow or idea of running into something new. You could have thought that you've been there already because the map says that you were in previous game before New Game Plus. So it's a little frustrating. Let me go over to the chat and see what you guys are talking about. I'd be more than happy if you guys chimed in the conversation. If you guys had anything to say, if any of you guys beat it and have some thoughts, you're more than welcome to hop up in here. In fact, I'm gonna be extra nice with it. This could bite me in the ass, possibly, but I don't think so. Usually, everybody I have on the show is pretty good. In the chat on YouTube, if you want to join the show and give me your 2 cents of what you thought about this game, and then if you want to stick around for a little bit, you can. You don't have to. But here's the link to hop on the show if you wish to. You want to come here and speak your piece about Dragon's Dogma, how you felt about it, if you thought it was a good game, yada yada. Feel more than welcome to do so. I'll approve you once you get down here, as long as everything looks good. You don't need to be on camera like I am. I'm on camera. This is my show. This is what I do. I like to usually be on camera if I can, if my PC is not tripping out or freaking out. I like to be on camera. But anyways, I'm gonna continue. So like I said, New Game Plus carries over a lot of your stuff, but it reveals the entire map, which is a little frustrating. The missions that you did in the previous game are completely restarted, which, you know, is pretty typical for a New Game Plus and whatnot. But what stinks is if you didn't even want to get into a New Game Plus and you just wanted to run around and roam, it kind of corners you because you don't have those saves. And if you accidentally pick something, like for instance, I was going verse something towards the end of the game where I had to reveal the right person that did a crime or something like that. And when I went to go reveal the right person, I accidentally picked the wrong person, jumped on them, and pretty much arrested them. When that happened, the game saved. And there's no way for me to, reload and come back and try it again. And if I were to possibly reload and I chose to reload at the last inn I was at, who knows? I might have played an hour or two of the game before I went to the last inn. You see what I'm saying? So you remember back in like Grand Theft Auto, the early Grand Theft Auto 3 days or the Vice City days and stuff like that, where you'd have to go back to like your hotel or house or whatever you'd like to call it. And then they had the little save card that you ran into so you could save your game and stuff like that. Imagine today, because keep in mind, that was a long time ago, right? And also keep in mind, Grand Theft Auto had multiple save slots, right? So, yeah, of course, Raichi. I love spamming and scumming the save. Absolutely, because I'll make a bad decision on purpose I'll save right before a game, make a bad decision on purpose just to see what happens, and then go back into my old save and then, make another decision if I didn't like how that was going or something like that. Elements of choice, always the best thing to have, right? Whether it's in gaming, food, or whatever. Choice is always good. For the most part. I'm sure somebody can think of where choices could be bad. But anyways, so yeah, once I tackled that person and arrested the wrong person, I have to wait until I get to that part again in the new game plus. They'll hopefully do it right. And if I do it wrong there, then I gotta beat the game a third time. And hopefully I get it right then and there. Or like I said, make sure I hit it in right before doing that mission, which I don't really remember off the top of my head when that mission exactly triggers. But you pretty much are almost told to save as much as you can in the in the in like at the ends and stuff like that or whatnot, because actually saving in the game, it will get saved over. The autosave will save right over the top of what you just saved. There is no selecting my last personal save versus the autosave, which is fucked, in my opinion. That is fucked. Because if you get into a bad situation and it autosaves, well, you're stuck into that bad situation unless you decide to go back to the end. So it's just kind of like, to me, it's just a really bad way of implementing a save system into a game. As much praise as I want to give Dragon's Dogma, I got to keep it real with my community and those of you that are, taking time out of your day to come through and watch this, about how I felt about the game. I thought the game was amazing. Probably going to be one of the top 3 games of the year for me. But that save system definitely knocks it down a couple of points. Points that it didn't have to be knocked down, in my opinion. But anyways, I don't want to hang out on that topic forever. I just wanted to kind of get my thoughts out on it and how I felt about it, what I didn't like about it. I still say, play the hell out of this game. I would just advise you to try to not do the story. Don't do the story. Like, don't try to complete the story and think you're going to go back into the game comfortably. Unless, like I said, unless you go. All right, here's a good tip right here. Before you get that sense of, hey, this is going to be the last fight, which can sometimes be a little hard to determine. But once you get the sense of, hey, this could be the end of the game right here. The way they're talking very, very much seems like this is the crescendo. Make sure you go to that end, save at that, or not save, but, stay at that end, sleep, save, whatever. And then go to that next fight that you think may be the boss fight. And if it is, go right back to the end, finish all the tasks that you can, get as much other vocations, get as much, coins and, RC points, get as much as you possibly can. Go and run around the map, do some sightseeing, take some pictures, do whatever. Just don't beat it too quickly, because once you beat it, it's going to be, you're going to have to redo a lot of different things that you may not be excited to do. And then keep in mind, just getting the game started to get to a end and get all your gear and whatnot takes at least 30 to 45 minutes. Just starting the game from the beginning. Keep in mind, and you can say it's kind of nice, but I found it kind of funny, is when you do engage the new game plus and you try to go say, yeah, I want to do a new game plus, it asks you 5 different times. Are you sure you want to do this? You sure? Are you sure? Are you certain? And I was fairly certain when I did it, and I'm happy that I did, but at the same time, I'm still a little interested in in when the last in was at. But the reason that I didn't care to check is because I did not want to go to the last in, and then it makes an auto save and then says I never beat the game. I wasn't sure how that would work, and seeing that I already thought it was a little shisty, weird, not really fundamentally correct, I just said screw it, going to New Game Plus. I already kind of, you know, fucked up a little bit. So that's my advice to you. But let's go on ahead and let me see if anybody joined at all. Just double checking because I did put that join link in the chat. I don't see anybody there, so I'm gonna move on. I'm gonna safely go ahead move on to Stellar Blade and what I thought about that game, because actually I thought Stellar Blade was pretty damn hot. I thought, all right, so hold on. Ray Cheese saying something real quick. So he said, save files, Dragon's Dogma. You get a single slot, saves files in Starfield. 200 units are ready within a million more, well on the way, which is not. Spider-Man says I haven't done the New Game Plus on Starfield yet. Well, I mean, the thing with Starfield is that you can have as many like saves as you want, pretty much, right? So in Starfield, even if you do engage in New Game Plus, you can go back to your old save. I still have a save from when I was like I have a save all the way back to like when I was like level 3, pretty much. But like I have a save as old as like right before I decided to go do the New Game Plus in Starfield. I have a save at like 54, like level 54. In Starfield, where I have like my Star Trek ship that I built, and I got my crew and whatnot, and I got married to Andreja in that one and whatever. But my actual current save is I think at 86, level 86, I want to say. It's either 85 or 86. I want to say it's 86. And that game, I beat that one as well, found everything that I needed to find, and I'm literally just doing side missions and knocking little things out until the DLC comes out on my level 86 character. Every once in a while, I'll reload back into the level 50s character because that's where my Star Trek ship is and everything. And I haven't got around to rebuilding that sucker yet. So there's a little, there's still a little reason for me to go back into that old character in the 50s. Although it's the same character, just, the level 50 character is without any New Game Pluses, and the level like 85, 86 character, I've done like a New Game Plus. Like, I'm not even kidding, like eight or 9 times, maybe 10 different times in that game. I have like, I want to say like 11. I think I have like 11 days in Starfield, like time wise played. So I have quite a bit of time in that game. I really enjoyed Starfield, and it's one of the few games that I have still downloaded from last year of game releases. So, I mean, if you're wondering if I like Starfield or if I still think it's great almost a year later, the answer is yes. I thought it was a really good game. I really enjoyed it. But going on to the next thing, as I was saying, let me go on ahead and get that next game pulled up. And like I said, it's going to be Stellar Yams. So let's go on ahead and get that game pulled up. Just give me a quick second while I do the damn thing in the background. Hey, stop it, woman. My wife over here yelling, I don't like yams. I don't eat booty, all right? I like looking at it though. But anyways, let's go on ahead and talk about the damn thing. Let me mute that. But anyways, here's Stellar Blade right here. This is an awesome game. I thought it was a good time. It was a little bit of a mixture between I'd say it's a mixture between like Devil May Cry and trying to think. I'd say 3 games. All right. Devil May Cry, Souls games. I'm just gonna say Souls as a genre. Because I mean, Yeah, the whole dodging and everything like that. But the parrying system reminded me kind of like, I don't know. It might sound wild to some people, but it kind of reminded me a little bit of like a God of War or something like that, where it's like if you parry it, it pretty much helps you quite a bit. You really get to attack the enemy. You get a little cinematic moment out of it and whatnot. I thought, oh, disrespectful Raichi in the chat. God damn. He says Eve is a 5 out of 10, but the partner they kill in the demo is an 11 out of 10. Oh my goodness. So you saying that girl right there, yeah. The one that no, that not her, because she got cooked right there. So you talking about? Let me go on ahead. Yeah, okay. So the person that's with me right now. I don't know who she is or what her name is or whatnot, but yeah, she ain't bad. She ain't bad. So this is the cat right here. This is the cat you're talking about. You said that's 11 out of 10, huh, Rachie? Okay. Anyways, yeah. So I thought this game was pretty nice. It's very forgiving. I'll say that. It looks intimidating. Like the Souls games give off that intimidation, and then you actually go to fight, and it's still intimidating. This game, it's like it gives off that intimidation, and then you go to fight, and you parry, you dodge, and you're like, oh, this isn't too crazy. This isn't like the worst. Or I don't feel like I'm gonna die in 2 hits like you do in Souls games where you can lose it all real quick. This game, it's got a lot more, respect that it gives the player as to like, I'm not gonna die immediately after getting smacked pretty hard by this move, but it will drain a good amount of your health or whatnot. But you have these like little pill things that you flip in the sky, or a little like thing that you stab into your neck, kind of like Helldivers 2. But the thing that probably got me the most about this game was, I mean, let's be honest, the cinematics. The cinematics of this game, in my opinion, are really good. And PlayStation seems to be really good at doing those types of games, or having the access to those types of games, because this isn't a first party game from Sony, but it almost looks and feels kind of like one, right? Where it kind of is very heavy in the cinematics, very heavy in the feels. The gameplay is pretty good with that as well. It does still kind of feel like near like near Automata, where like when you're actually moving, so outside of the cutscene, you're running around, you're just kind of farming for whatever's in the area. It kind of feels like near in that aspect, to where it's a little on rails at times, where it's like, well, the character feels a little stiff, runs around and whatnot. But then once the fight actually engages, then that whole stiff feeling of the character goes away. Reggie Lee, what's cracking, man? Thanks for hopping through. I appreciate you coming through. And he says, hey, yo, what's happening? I haven't seen Reggie Lee for a hot minute, so I appreciate you coming through, brother. Tomorrow, just in case anybody that's watching right now doesn't know, I'm going to be interviewing Mr. Uso Vinny for Behind Them Sticks, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 o'clock in the Lord's time, Central Time. You got me? But yeah, definitely definitely a little stiff in the areas in which you're not engaged in fighting. I'd definitely say that. But in the actual fighting moments, it feels very fluid, comfortable. The dodge is a little short, feels like sometimes. Like you hit circle to dodge, and it's like a little 2-step to the side, or 2-step or backflip backwards, 2-step forward or whatnot. There are like different attributes that you'll be able to get with your character to be able to parry or dodge. So I'm not at that point yet in this game, in the demo that you're looking at right now, but later on in the demo you'll see. Yeah, man, Reggie Lee, do your damn thing, man. If you working, you got to put in that work, get that money. I feel you. Do your thing, man. Do your thing. I'm just happy that you're here. Thank you so much. Thank you as well, Mr. Sour Blow. What's cracking? Good to see you, brother. Thank you so much for popping in and giving me a little bit of your time as well. But yeah, outside of the fighting areas, definitely kind of stiff, kind of weird. The like picking up like the things that fall onto the ground after you open up a chest. It's kind of like, what is this? They look like a little bunch of pixels that pop out of the chest, and you just pick up these little pixels on the ground or something like that. They don't look like really anything. Like you almost have to go to your inventory to see what the hell that you even picked up, because they're color coordinated, but they don't like look like anything. Okay, so when you open up the chest, it's that satisfaction of like, man, I just got something dope. I didn't find it in the in the demo. I didn't feel like, oh wow, I got something amazing or whatnot. But the little tutorials that it does allow you to have during the like before the fights or whatever, where it shows you the moves, those are pretty nice. But all in all, I would definitely say check out Stellar Blade. I had a good time with the demo. It also allowed within the demo, which I'm going ahead and throw this up on the screen now. So just give me a quick second. So it does have something called like boss fight. So you can like go in there and specifically do the boss fight. So if you want to get better at dodging and evading and knowing when to attack, I thought this was an excellent mode just to be able to simply pick, hey, I want to fight a boss. I want to, get my hands dirty. I want to, try to whoop that thing's ass and whatnot. And I ended up, if I go and show off this clip, so like right now I'm showing this clip, it's only 3 minutes and like, I think it's 3 minutes and 3 seconds long. Right. But if I go back to my old clip, which I'm actually wearing some different swag in this one, this boss fight, it's the exact same boss fight, but this took me 6 minutes the first time because I was a little timid. I just wasn't sure what was going to happen. So I did a lot of extra blocking, a lot of extra dodging, a lot of just kind of out of the way of dumb shit that could happen to me, compared to when I went back into it after I got a good understanding of it. I was just like, because you can kind of see, like at the beginning of this fight, I am on the edges. I'm like, yo, stay away from your boy. I was dodging. But in this one, right at the beginning of the fight, pretty much, like right after he does that like little first move, I'm like, come on over, come get it, let's go, because it gives you that confidence. Right? So I am in them cheeks. The second time I went up in there, I was not scared. I was not doing. I was like, go ahead and do your damn thing. Come on over. I did a little bit of dodging, a little bit of backing up and whatnot. There are certain times where I use the health thing right there or whatever. But the dodging and parrying is surprisingly not hard. There's definitely going to be those times where you're like, oh, I dodged or I hit that or did something, but it's a good balance of fun and frustration, to the point where you don't feel like you're playing a Souls game where it's like, I'm never going to beat this. Right? There's certain times in Souls games, there's certain times in Elden Ring where I was just like, man, I'm about to delete this shit right here, cuz I'm not a Souls guy. I'm not a Souls guy by any means. But I fought through and ended up beating Elden Ring and whatnot. It ended up being a really good game. My favorite Souls game of all time, just because, like I said, not a Souls guy, but that was very accessible for me. As for this, though, very much more comfortable to get into. The cinematics within beating the enemies are much more interesting than a lot of the cinematics in other games that have QTEs and stuff like that. Quick QTEs, quick time events, tells you to like repeatedly hit square or hit L1, now hit square, then hit circle. Those are QTEs. QTEs, quick time, I just said it. Quick time moments or whatever. But anyways, yeah, I like this game. Thought it was I think it'd be worth for you to at least go check out the demo if you have it on PS. If you have a PS5. This is the only way that you can play this game as of right now. It's not available for Xbox or PC. Only available for PlayStation. So I'm really interested. And I mean, I see them doing a little bit of advertising for this game and what, right? So I'm interested to see how it ends up selling over there on the PlayStation. It doesn't matter to me because I'm playing it day one. My boy Matt and Vinny, yeah, I game share with both of those guys. And don't ask me how I got that to work, but I game share with both of those guys, and they both got the game. So I'm just like, I ain't. All right, wait. Pause it right at that end, right there. So when you open up the chest, as I was telling you earlier, how those like little color things show up on the screen doesn't really look like anything. That's what you'll be picking up from chess. Those little like little different color little pixels on the ground. But anyways, yeah, check out the game, see if you like it yourself. The visuals is what got me into the game. Obviously, I mean, she's a good-looking character. I'll give her that. But also, just like them, like kind of slow motion events of like when she's like kind of ripping and tearing. So, like, if I were to go right, like just these kind of moments right here are cool to me. I like in video game moments when you have that like I just beat the brakes off of something and then I get a little QTE as a celebration. And then I just sit back and go, woo, I whooped your ass while they doing this the entire time. Right. So I always enjoy when a game can give me a good QTE at the end of a fight. It's that little bit of extra satisfaction, dopamine kick that I feel that a lot of us desire into video games. But the next thing I wanted to talk about, which I'm jumping completely off of, Dragon's Dogma and Stellar Blade, and I'm going right into the mess. All right. So maybe you guys enjoy this type of the show more. Maybe this is why you guys came here today. I don't know. Shout out to Reggie Lee, or actually shout out to my cousin Matt up in the chat. He said rude. I don't know what he's saying rude to, but if I was rude to you, I'm happy to have done the damn thing. Kiss my ass. But anyways, Mental 9R says, Sour Blow, yeah, Ham was saying how when she's just walking around, it felt a little stiff. Oh, I mean, the game felt a little bit stiff. Stop it. And it's more fluid in battle. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I just got done talking about that just a moment ago. Reggie Lee says Jedi Survivor or Jedi Fallen Order and Survivor considered Souls type games. I don't understand how those are considered Souls type games. They have Souls elements, sure. Like when you get into the boss battles, some of those elements kind of feel a little Soulsy. Kind of the farming feeling and going to a safe zone, sitting down, and then everything respawns. That's like Souls elements to it. Sure, I can agree with that. But yeah, Jedi Survivor is nowhere near as hard as a Souls game at all. And I'd actually put Jedi Survivor in this game kind of more in the same category as themselves than either one of those games are two Souls games, if that makes any sense. But yeah, we're gonna hop right into the messy, right into the thick of it. Let's go into the beginning of what I said in the title of the show. Let's chat about the Xbox fans versus employees. Now, I want you guys to speak on this if you feel the need to. And I feel like a lot of a lot of Xbox so-called fans, like the loudest ones on Twitter, seemingly the ones that are always finding drama to be pissy about, and oh my god, they gave a game over here, or oh, they just put a game on PC, or oh my goodness, they're sharing games with Nintendo. What are they gonna do? And it's just like, I don't understand why you guys get so butthurt about that. Meanwhile, other companies are doing similar things, maybe not to the extent that Microsoft's doing it, because we know Microsoft, when they do stuff, they like to be a little loud and eccentric and maybe a little over the top with it. So when they dive into something, sometimes they dive head first instead of feet first in it. So you see them going into like the third party idea of giving some games over to Sony. You're seeing like Hi-Fi Rush, Pentiment, and what is it, Sea of Thieves going over there. Nobody wants to talk about PlayStation bringing Marathon over to Xbox. It's the same exact thing, but like I said, Sony's doing it in a much smaller light than Xbox. Xbox is shining it out and letting everybody know what it is, as Sony's going to pretend that they're not doing the same thing, although they are doing the same thing. They're literally doing mobile games, they're doing PC games. They put the VR on there, or they're planning to put the VR on PC. Yeah, you can say MLB The Show is on PC. And what did Yoshida, what was it, Yoshida? I want to say uh uh I don't remember the name right off the top of my head, but he said he wants his games everywhere. He said he like there are people over at Sony that said they want their games everywhere as well. They want their games day one on PC and stuff like that. So it's just like it's literally the exact same thing. It's just kind of not being talked about as much because it's easy to jump on the person that has the biggest wallet and is gonna have the less likeliness of giving you a hard time because they're still trying to find their comfort zone in gaming and everything. It's a lot easier to give them the hard time than it is to be like a VGC or a IGN or something like that and shit on Sony, and then you don't get any codes from them ever. See, they got Xbox in a point where they're just like, we don't really love you guys, but we understand that we need you guys to kind of talk about our games and stuff like that to help market it and whatnot. As for Sony, they could possibly beat their chest about it or bring the sense of, oh man, we really like VGC or we really like IGN and whatnot, and maybe make a little bit of a butter up sense. To where like you see it all the time. People are almost afraid to speak bad about Sony and what they do wrong and stuff like that. You almost rarely see anything from IGN, VGC, Kotaku, or any of these guys downplaying anything about Sony. Although they recently closed studios, that hardware is coming from PlayStation only to PlayStation and PC. They're moving more into the mobile market. They ain't got no first party games for the entire year. They, have a lawsuit going on with being able to sell games to other vendors. They got a lot of things going on, but nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody wants to talk about it. I'm talking about it, but nobody else wants to talk about it. They just want to say, shove it under the rug, shove it under the rug. Oh, and by the way, Xbox is not making any sense to me, so I'm a shit on. So I mean, that's pretty much the gist of what I get when I see that type of shit. I'm just like, yo, you guys are really looking past all the fuckery that's going on with other companies just to specifically talk. Yeah, I mean, Ray Cheese says it right here in the chat. Ray Cheese says it right here. I'll never forget and forgive the closer of Japan Studio. He's talking about Sony Japan. That wasn't that long ago. How about Pixel Opus? That wasn't that long ago either. And there's been a few closures after that as well. Pixel Opus was just last year. Okay, now we're talking about the VR studio, right? Gone. Other studios under Sony, under SIE, had to fight to stay alive. But nobody wants to talk about that stuff because it's not as popular as shitting on Xbox. Right? So it's just interesting. It's just interesting that the whole focus is on one company, even though both are fucking up in different areas. All right. But I wanted to particularly kind of shift this over to something I thought that was kind of interesting. I got somebody that told me a while back that there is no Xbox tax. He said it live on the show. He said, "Sorry, Ham Solo. Sorry, Post Up, and yada yada." But it's silly to believe that there's any sort of Xbox tax yet. And I think this dude, he's still a good dude and whatnot. I don't think he's a piece of shit or anything like that. Some of these content creators are over the top. When they don't agree with somebody, somebody's a piece of shit. If they agree with them completely, they're a great person. The second they step into the wrong zone, they're a shitty person. And like I'm not doing that here. Bro is still a good person. Bro drops good news and whatnot. But sometimes I think he doesn't like to say certain things because he doesn't want to piss off certain people. And if that's what you got to do, that's what you got to do. That's fine. That doesn't bother me. But I will be the person to sit up here and tell you that I still personally believe in the whole Xbox tax idea, in the whole idea that, people specifically feel the need to bash one over another, although both may be into some fuckery. And then certain companies don't get acknowledged very much when they do good, and they still get looked upon as doing bad, even though they're doing like 2023 was a good year for Xbox, right? How much positive shit did we hear from any of the outlets about Xbox? You know what I'm saying? I mean, I get Redfall. Xbox deserved that shit. But but as for like Starfield, when Starfield dropped, it was just an implosion of media sites having to show off why they gave this game a bad score. IGN having to do a spaces on Twitter to explain why they gave it a low score. You know what I'm saying? Like people double downing on why they think something is bad and then feeling the need that, hey, maybe if this didn't convince you, this will. Kind of attitude. Like they need to prove that this isn't good. That Game Pass is bad, or Xbox is bad, or PlayStation good, or something like that. So I just think that stuff's nuts. But I wanted to drop to drop in on the conversation that or better yet, the video that Mr. Legary dropped for his YouTube channel. And it is called VGC Phil Spencer Might Kill Xbox, my reaction to it. Funny stuff. But before we get into that, I'm just going to let you guys know, while you're here, please do me the favor, hit that like button. I don't ask very often, but hit that like button if you can. Share this out. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. If you want to be a member, it's only $2 per month to be a member of my channel here, TSWS Gaming. And with those memberships, you're just able to do the monthly chat and whatnot. We're going to be getting back to doing the $10 voucher thing here in a few months. It's just after PAX that blew up the TSWS Gaming wallet a little bit. So I need to replenish a little bit because I don't want to be digging into my family pocket to be giving people vouchers and stuff like that. That's not how this thing started, and I don't want it to. I don't want to end up owing my household fund some money because my YouTube fund was low or something like that. I don't want to ever get in that situation. Gotta play it smart out here, y'all. Gotta play it smart. But anyways, let's go on ahead and get to listening about with this with what he had to say about this whole article written from VGC. Okay. Shout out to a few of you guys out here. Let me go on ahead and read a couple of these chats before I move on. Tai Talk says, pretty sure Japan studio wasn't making money that much money. I should say, if you check their sales, they ain't doing nothing really. I mean that's a good reason to probably close something, right? But but my whole point behind it was, let's not act like everything is all peaches and cream and like sunshines and rainbows and whatnot when you got shit You know, like people are ignoring that they've had some fuckery. Them not making money, if it was the other way around and it was like, oh yeah, Xbox closed this studio because it wasn't making any money, they'd be like, well, Xbox didn't put them in a situation to make very good money. That'd be the excuse. So that's what I'm saying. Like, let's keep it a buck. Let's keep let's keep it fair. Let's make it make sense. But anyways, so let's go on ahead and get into this. Oh man, that's a fiery face he has to get us started. Let's go on ahead.
His big bets have failed, so he wasn't responsible for the.
So look, already just a couple seconds of listening in, he's already like I said, shout out to Destin, good dude, good content creator. He's damn good content creator, good writer as well. I mean, he's all around a pretty good dude. But like, I just found it funny that he felt the need to tell me that there ain't no tax. But you know, every once in a while, I'll find a video like this one where it's like he's reading an article from VGC or some other news source that's saying Phil Spencer bad or Xbox bad or something like this, and he has to like say, well, I don't buy that. I don't see that. I get this is an opinion piece or whatnot, but I just, VGC is not like a mom and pop's little tiny article, article disher. Like they don't dish out small art. Like their big Video Game Chronicle is known. They're pretty well known. Sure, they're not as big as IGN. Nobody's as big as IGN, but they're not some little tiny couple of writers, trying to, get off of the ground or whatnot. No, they're pretty solidified. And this isn't anything new coming from their camp. Like any sort of talks like this stuff ain't new. But let's go ahead and listen.
Spencer is turning 2 points. Now that all his big bets have failed, Spencer is turning to corrective measures from Nathan Brown. All of his big bets have failed. So he wasn't responsible for the Xbox One launch. I would say the Xbox One X was successful. It definitely was a more powerful box. There were some great looking games on it. Once it was out there and people were playing it, it did have a noticeable impact on performance. It was much better than the PlayStation 4 Pro at the time. And it's one of the first videos I did on this channel. Actually, I did the unboxing of the Xbox.
So in my opinion, flat out, the Xbox One X, although it was a great system, it didn't not enough games were on it to really like it was a noticeable bump, and it was necessary due to how underpowered the original Xbox One was. But as for they could we could have used an Xbox One X maybe a couple years earlier. And just a little bit, just so I don't know, maybe figuring out power and games and what games deserves more power and what deserves like the One X enhancement and shit like that. I felt like that could have been handled a little bit better. But hey, I mean, that's also, you got to think about it. It's also a Phil Spencer that's hopping in there trying to mitigate a problem that he didn't start himself. So that's something to kind of consider. But let's continue.
One X in my old apartment, and I was pretty hyped about it. So I was pretty happy with it at that time. And it was at that time when Game Pass was starting to become a thing, and they had games like the original Mass Effect was part of Game Pass via the EA collaboration, and they had some enhancements that were made to old games even at that time, including the original Mass Effect, that made it function better than it did previously. And they've continued to support a lot of old games. Like if you pop in Fallout 3, there's a ton of.
All right, I'm gonna skip forward a little bit.
Out and it's done well, but
I want to hear him talk about the article. I don't want to hear him just talk about the One X and stuff.
It's not like working out. Hit Points is a free newsletter from former Edge editor Nathan Brown, delivering insight and commentary on the games industry. Below is a piece syndicated from Hit Points, but if you want to, you should head over and subscribe to the newsletter. Okay, so check out Hit Points if you're into stuff like spin on Microsoft's recent maneuvers, while dropping a few now customary hints about the Xbox division's future plans. I take one issue with this. I am no longer sure Xbox has much of a future to speak of. Moreover, I think Phil Spencer, for so long cast as Xbox savior, may ultimately be remembered as the man who killed it.
So, like I said, this is VGC. This is a big company that's writing articles. Sure, it's an opinion piece, but this smear isn't anything new. And here is Destin just reading it, and it doesn't look like he likes it.
Speaking to Polygon, which has chopped the interview up into multiple pieces in the classic early 2010 style, Spencer lamented that the games industry simply isn't growing enough, explaining that all of Microsoft's recent moves, the acquisition, Blizzard consent.
So I remember people blowing up the whole thing that Phil Spencer saying that it's not growing enough. He's not saying Xbox isn't growing enough. He's saying the industry itself isn't growing enough. So that would include Nintendo. That would include PlayStation. That would include everybody that has a platform. And if you're looking over at PlayStation like, well, I don't see anything wrong with that, well, then tell me why they're going into mobile. Why they put the VR headset on PC. While they're shipping more games to PC. Why they made more peripherals for PC. Like monitors. Headsets. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're moving a little bit, and then at the same time, you're like, but Nintendo didn't do anything. Yes, they did. Nintendo's talking about coming out with a new console. They just got done partnering up with Microsoft to bring Call of Duty over there. They're trying to get more into third party. Nintendo's trying to get more into third party games to more or less be able to relieve some stress from their own first party. As you've seen, there was the whole remaster not that long ago of Skyrim that was put on that was put on Switch, and everybody was like, "How dare Microsoft charge $70 for a Nintendo game?" I'm like, "That's Nintendo that's charging $70 for the Nintendo game. It's not Microsoft." And then later on, come to find out, Tears of the Kingdom is $70. Are we going to blame that on Microsoft too? You see what I'm saying? But it was Xbox's problem when Skyrim came to Nintendo at a high price. But if Nintendo does it themselves, we didn't see shit. It's just like, I don't get it. But anyway, let's continue.
Sessions. Is that supposed to say Activision? Anyway. The decision to take Xbox exclusive to PlayStation 5 and our Switch, the layoffs have been designed to counter his unavoidable, irrefutable truth. Without new customers, Spencer says, everybody else's customers is your success state. You can't succeed unless you draw in customers from other publishers and
what he's essentially saying is that they're fighting over the same customers every generation. Ray Cheese said it a couple episodes back in the chat that it's like 140 million consoles per generation or something like that, like an average around that across the board for everybody. So if there's an average to this thing, if there's a median to this thing, then something may need to be, switched up a little bit to maybe gain more of a following, right? You can't keep doing the same thing. You can't keep serving the same meal to people and expecting different reviews. You don't. My thoughts on Pizza Hut today, if I were to go get a pizza today from them, a pepperoni pizza from Pizza Hut. Got it here. And then tomorrow I get a pepperoni pizza from Pizza Hut. Why would I raise the rating if it was made the exact same? The rating doesn't go higher as time goes on. It only goes down or stagnant. It's not going to all of a sudden explode into 1 billion. So how do you explode to 1 billion? You do something different. You try something different, especially if you're in second or third place. Why in the hell would Xbox Primo Dre? You stupid. He said extra cheap. But this man's out of his mind. But anyways, so what do? You switch things up. And like I said, especially if you're third place. If you're in third place, like Microsoft has been for quite a while now, so since like the 360 era, you're gonna want to change. I mean, they tried to change things up for the Xbox One generation, right? Because they felt the footsteps of Sony right behind them, and Nintendo had the Wii U that flopped, but they had something up. They had more cards up their sleeve, right? They got some more cards up their sleeve, right? Which ended up being the Switch, right? So they had another card up their sleeve. They switched the way gaming was played. No way. That made them get more sales? Not playing Sony's or Microsoft's game? Not playing at their field and doing what they think is right made them more money? That's nuts. You know what I'm saying? They got off of the gerbil wheel and said, you know what? I'm sick of running with these motherfuckers. I'm going to go try something a little different, even though it's going to be in the same, wheelhouse that is gaming in general. I'm going to go try something else. See how it happens. See how it works. See what it is. Explosion. They're still selling consoles like crazy today. And it is a 720p console. And they are slinging them. Slinging them. So you tell me if changing things up or shaking things up is a bad idea. You seen how the PS3 shook things up? It just went the opposite direction. You seen how the Wii U shook things up? It just went the opposite direction. You see the Xbox One tried to shake things up, and then they tried to put their foot down on it. And it was in such a different direction that it fucked them up to this day. So what does Xbox do? They spend $100 billion to get Bethesda, to get Activision, yada yada. They make Game Pass. They start putting more games to PC. And now they're talking about, hey, we're thinking about possibly putting Steam onto one of our consoles. That sounds like they're trying to switch things up a little bit. I mean, just think about it. Just think about what would happen if we had Steam on consoles. Well, first of all, it'd have to run like a PC. If you have Steam games on console, it would have to run like a PC or be like cloud or remote. And I don't think they're trying to be cloud or remote. If they're talking about involving an entire platform like Steam onto a console, why would you want that to be a whole ass platform of streaming? So, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like Xbox is trying to turn themselves into a PC. Which, if you kind of think about it, if you've been around alive, or privy to the history of gaming, you would know the whole reason for Xbox being made in the first place was to not be looked past when it came to the living room and computers being part of it. So what did Xbox do to, or what did Microsoft, better yet, do to mitigate the problem that was Sony at the time infringing on a computer-like device in a living room? They made an Xbox, they put a hard drive in it, they put a CD burner in it, and they put Ethernet in it, right? To try to stay ahead of the game. PlayStation fought back with the PS3. They had the internal memory. They had, a Chungus in there running Linux, right? They had the cell processor in there. They had the multimedia ability in there. They switched up the game a little bit, but with that cell processor and whatnot that was in the PS3, it made it harder to work for, in which a lot of developers had problems with it. Sounds very similar to a Series S, right? Kind of. Sounds kind of similar. Okay. I say all that specifically to say that these companies fuck up, but they change for a reason. They change because they don't want to remain stagnant. The one that has changed the least is probably PlayStation. They stayed the most traditional out of everybody. I'll get to those super chats here in just a second. They've stayed traditional more than anybody has. And they've won because of it, but they've also lost in some spots because of it. They're not making subscription services or putting games on the PC because they're doing just perfectly fine on console. They didn't put the VR headset on the PC because it's crushing it on the PS5. And PC players just need to feel what it's like. They didn't do it because of that. They did it because their recipe wasn't coming out right. It looked good on paper, but it didn't work out in reality. Let me hit them super chats real quick. So my filthy ass motherfucking cousin, Matt Hum, dirty motherfucker. He says, I hate you too, cuz. You get carried when I play. This man is capping. This man is capping. Eat shit. Eat shit, cuz. Hopefully I see you soon. But until then, you can rest and piss. But anyways, John TJ was cracking. Brother John TJ with the $5 super chat says, hey, what's up, bro? Destin is a pony and okay. Put Steam on the Xbox. On the next Xbox handheld. Okay, on the next Xbox and handheld. Wow. I mean, I'm not gonna say anything disrespectful about Destin. I think he's fine. I don't have any problem with Destin at all. Only thing I thought was funny was when he said that there was no tax, and then it's just like, now I'm like sitting here watching a video of him reading an article and disagreeing with like a bunch of different stuff. Which, I mean, we can all do that same stuff with different articles and whatnot. But I just find it ironic that you feel the need to speak about the article, but then when somebody says, hey man, feels like people are piling on Xbox too hard, you're like, nah, that's normal. You know what I'm saying? I'm just like, I mean, like, most people drive one way, other people drive the other, and there's some people that are on the median, and I feel like sometimes Destin's on the median, and I don't always love it, but I respect it. I mean, I'm not him. He's not me. It doesn't fuck with me at the end of the day. But I mean, obviously I enjoy his content enough to click on it, listen to this shit, and feel the need to bring it to my show. All right. I mean, if I hated the motherfucker, I would have had no idea that he even did this. Because that's how I mean, there are people that I avidly know sometimes say correct things, but most of the time say crazy shit to get a reaction. I don't follow most of those people because I don't give a shit about what they think. They're not there to inform me. They're there to get me pissed off. So, no, I don't fuck with a lot of different people on here. Or not on here exactly, but like on Twitter and stuff like that. Like I ain't got time for that bullshit. They're just trying to get under my skin and make me mad. They're not trying to put me on any game. So, anyways, continuing. Let me get that off of the screen.
Other platforms, and because you're not finding new customers with the games that you're building, everybody's kind of fighting over the same size pie. This is really interesting.
It's crazy because I just got done saying it. Everyone's fighting over the same size pie over and over and over every generation because they're not breaking through to more people. And that's why PlayStation, Xbox are giving their games to other platforms like PC or to each other. Some more than others. Xbox is going to give you more games than PlayStation is going to give Xbox. You know why? It's not specifically because, oh man, Xbox is much more giving than PlayStation. Dude, count the studios. How many studios does Xbox have versus what PlayStation has? I'd be more selfish if I was PlayStation 2. You don't have as much. I'd be selfish too, right? But we're still getting Marathon. We still get MLB The Show. Yeah, you can tell me that. Oh, they want to make sure, the Major League Baseball wants to make sure that the game goes every play. You can tell me all that all you want, but you know what? Sony doesn't have to make that game. They could say, you know what? I don't want to give shit to Microsoft. You can take this game and kick rocks and go find another publisher or a developer to make it. But you didn't do that because you want money. It's that simple. You're not going to do something that's going to fuck up your wallet. You're not going to do it. You're not going to do it. It's stupid. So of course, Sony's going to make the game for Xbox. And same with Marathon. They bought Bungie under the pretenses of them still being able to work with everybody, right? It's not crazy when Sony buys Bungie and they have that stipulation, but when Xbox buys Activision, it's nuts. It's the same thing. I mean, somebody let me know if I'm tripping. Somebody let me know if I'm wrong. Just because one's bigger than the other doesn't make it any different. Just like if a famous person gets, just like if a famous person sells drugs and this homeless person on the street sells drugs, the ticket is still the same. Of course, the rich person was probably going to get off. He's probably going to get off on it or whatnot. Like, he's probably going to get the ticket wiped away or looked right past as if nothing ever happened. Doesn't that sound familiar? Sony, as if nothing ever happened. Bad shit happened. But old Xbox, something bad happens, you got to go to court. You got to explain yourself. We need to hear from Phil. You know what I'm saying? Microsoft kind of did it to themselves, though. They got way friendly with the community, and now they're like, why does the community always need to hear from us? It's because you summoned them. You summoned them and told them to wait for the next update, wait for the next update, wait for the next update for years. So now people are excited. Whether it's for right reasons or wrong reasons, they're as excited for the next update every single time. Rachie in the chat says, big companies love throwing money. Look Disney. Look at Disney, I'm assuming that's what he's saying. Absolutely. Let's continue this art. Let's continue this, though. See what they got to say. Yeah, Mental says next year's E3 will be awesome. All right. Like, is that a joke? I'm not sure if that's a joke because E3 is dead.
Interesting insight from who is this? Nathan Brown. I find it odd that he was critical. This one threw me off a little bit just reading it, but it sounds like he was critical of Polygon for breaking up the interview. Like there were different topics, and I thought it was good. I thought that was a little weird from Nathan that he's like criticizing that it was broken up and that Xbox made concessions. Did they really make concessions in the Activision Blizzard thing at the end of the day? Anyway, let's continue on because he's getting to his point, but I don't feel like he's made it yet. When you have an industry that is projected to be smaller next year in terms of players and dollars, and you get a lot of publicly traded companies that are in the industry that have to show their investors growth, because why else does some...
I just have to say it real quick. He just said it himself. I just thought it was funny. An IGN writer is reading another writer's thing from another popular website, and he's confused. Just think about that for a minute.
They own a share of someone's stock if it's not going to grow. The side of the business that then gets scrutinized is the cost side, because if you're not going to grow the revenue side, then the cost side becomes challenged. Now look,
simple. That is simple. If you're continuing to get the same result, you keep delivering the same pizza, you're going to get the same revenue. And then how do you grow? And then on top of that, let's say you open up to where you're able to deliver in further areas. Well, then now you got the opportunity to have bad customer service. Now, what I'm alluding to is they're opening it up wider, right? Like Microsoft and whatnot is trying to open it up wider and whatnot. But if the return even comes back smaller than the time before, then not only are you running on the same wheel, expecting a better result, but you're getting worse results. Like, if they don't make a move to switch something, PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo, then they're just going to keep doing the same thing and you're not going to get a new result. You're not. You have to switch something down the line. And I mean, we've seen it with Nintendo. I mean, look at Nintendo from the jump back all the way in like the mid 80s, right? Cartridge, boom. Super Nintendo, cartridge, top loader, boom. 64, different button scheme. Cartridge, top loader, boom. GameCube, top loader, mini disc. Different controller scheme again. The one after that, Wii, regular disc size now. Completely different controller, completely different way of playing, crazy top selling console. The Wii U, switch again, turn it into handheld. Flops. Whoops-a-daisy, switch. Nintendo's been constantly changing what they do completely. Nintendo's been constantly changing what they're doing. Whether it's with the IPs themselves or how to actually play them. And that's why Nintendo's maintained themselves in the game pretty well and sold insane. And but if you look at their numbers per generation, they're all over the freaking place. Because they're never done trying things out, testing it. They figured out how to make money off of cardboard, dog. They got people buying cardboard. Like, yo, Nintendo's different. They are not scared to change. You know who is a little scared to change? Xbox. But they're willing to do it to sometimes their own detriment. You know who is terrified to change? Sony. Because they haven't changed that much per generation. They've been the least changing platform of them all. I'm not saying they're not innovative. They're innovative. I mean, you look at like the 6-axis when it came out for the PS3, that was a big deal. The Eye, the little the VR, obviously. I mean, they're innovative, sure, but do they change the traditional way of playing their games? Not really. What's up, Rich? Pops through. The first comment he put down was not sure what Steam on Xbox does. It sounds like Xbox been making Microsoft broke. And let me tell you what Steam on Xbox does. Steam on Xbox allows Xbox to make pretty much just a PC, right? So then something like a Series S actually makes more sense compared to what it did this generation. If you make a low spec PC, you could still play most games, right? You can still play most games. It's just your ability to tune said game to be able to play on your hardware. You're going to be turning it way down, right? Compared to something that's a little bit stronger. So let's say like a 1660, right? The 1660 can play the same game, can play most of the same games that a 2080 can play. Right? We know that. It's just on hella lower settings. If you have that on a PC, that makes more sense than a console to where it's like all on its own, right? And you have to specifically build for that. That right there makes it harder for the developers. But if it is a PC and it's just a low spec PC, then you're just creating a game for PC. You tune it how you want from there. You see what I'm saying? So then if Steam goes to Xbox and you're able to fine tune things yourself, whether you got a beefy rig that's third party, a first party low end rig, or a first party high end rig, you can play it the way that you want to play it. And what is Xbox's moniker? When everybody plays, we all win. They don't care how you play it. They just want you to play it. And they're not leaving any sort of hardware market at all. Remember when Gateway left? Yeah, everybody thought Microsoft was done making PCs. Nope. You're like, what PC do they make now? The Surface. And are we gonna say the Surface is a weak piece of hardware? Is the Surface a weak piece of hardware? Maybe in comparison to like a 4090. Maybe in comparison to somebody's personally made rig just for them, sure. But for your average consumer, which is what gaming is marketed towards for the most part, for your average consumer, a Surface does everything that they need them to do. It gets into team meetings. It plays games. It surfs the web. You can connect USB devices to it. You can use a keyboard. You can take away the keyboard. You can listen to music on it. You can watch movies on it. You can watch Netflix on it. Microsoft is still doing hardware for computers. Do they have to do hardware for computers? Answer that question for me. Do they have to do hardware for computers? I think we know the answer to that question. It's a fuck no. They absolutely don't have to. But they do. But they do. They could just say, you know what? We're only doing software. They could totally live off of that and be fine. Take zero loss from making new hardware, ever. But they're not going to do that. Because they know the attachment feeling of playing or using Microsoft software on Microsoft hardware. They know that there is still that need or love or, necessity for something like that, or businesses like Apple would be pointless. They know that ecosystem does matter. It does matter at some point. Ecosystem is very important, but it's not all about only you when it comes to accessibility. And if you're mad at Microsoft for what they're doing, you don't even know what Microsoft's all about in the first place. I said it at the beginning of this podcast. Instead of stepping on Apple's neck, what did Microsoft do? They provided them services. They get Activision Blizzard. Instead of saying, no, you can't have, or after 10 years, all mine. Instead of saying that, they said, you know what? Let's make a deal. Let's get to the table. Let's do something. You were running all over the place, all pissy. I've been trying to, make this deal with you. I've been trying to work with you. I see that. I see what you said, Rich. He said Gates and Nadella reaffirmed that they aren't here for the hardware. You're right. Do you think Sony is either? You think they like taking a loss? Do you think any of these companies like taking a loss to put out their software? I don't think so. But there's still a need for it, so they're still going to do it. It's just not the main factor. Back in the late 90s, or actually back in the the 70s, all the way up until the late or like to the early 2010s or something like that. It was all about the hardware. But now that more things are coming down the line as being accessible without hardware whatsoever, it's hard to get people to buy a hardware, and it's harder to get more people that don't even see this as necessary right now to switch their whole identity or to switch their whole ideology is a better way of putting it. Right? So what did Apple do? We're putting games on our phones now. You're going to play Resident Evil through our store. Yeah, we got ray tracing too. How about that? They're making the move already. You don't think Microsoft and Sony and Nintendo don't want to make that move? Hardware is cool and all, but does hardware make them the money that they need to make to go into the next generation? I'm just saying, if it was hardware alone, that's all that they were trying to sell, would they be cool with that every generation? Because that's what the Walkman was. That's what the Sony Walkman was. Just a piece of hardware. After that, it was like, what are we doing? The software was coming from every other place, right? Eventually, that's phased out. Who's using a Walkman today? Who's making Walkmans today? Who's buying Walkmans today? There's no need for it anymore because people have phones. Microsoft's telling you that right to your face. You just don't like it. They're saying that, hey, guess what? We're going to still do hardware for a little while. We're going to do hardware as long as y'all need hardware. But as soon as we determine that y'all don't need hardware, we're done. And others will be done too. Just like Sony, you don't see Sony still making Walkmans. Like, and if they are, they ain't making them like that. Exactly, Rich. Exactly. That's why they bought a music publisher, because it was about the software. Because it was about the software. They need software to go into the dang thing so they can recoup on both sides, not just hardware, but we need a little bit of hardware, but mostly software. Because without the software, this hardware is worthless. Man, we barely even got into this dang thing from IGN. I'm gonna kick it here for like 15 more minutes because I need to go kick it with my family, man. Like real shit. Like maybe I'll continue this tomorrow midday or something like that. We can continue going through the whole Destin thing and whatnot tomorrow. But I don't want to keep you guys here too long. I definitely don't want to keep my wife waiting too long because I've been podcasting since she got off of work. And this is not the podcast I was on when she got home from work. So this is podcast number 2 right now. And I think I can hear her in the other room doing her work thing and whatnot with her job, and my daughter's running around with some friends and whatnot. So I mean, I don't have to get out of here, but out of the good respect for my family, I'm not going to stay here too much longer. I'm going to stay here for about 10 more minutes ish, 10, 15 more minutes. We'll do a little bit more of this, but this isn't the only video that I wanted to show off because he made 2. So this one that we're watching right now is like a little over a half hour, so 33 minutes. The one that is the other one that I'm going to be talking about tomorrow, which is labeled, and I'll actually throw it up on the screen right now so you guys can see it. This one is a different video. It's only about 10 minutes long. And this one's labeled Xbox isn't the only one rethinking console exclusives, which I cannot wait to talk about with you guys tomorrow. So let's do that damn thing. Let's make sure that you guys show back up tomorrow. Let me see what time sounds good, because I got Behind Them Sticks with Uso Vinny at 8 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. So let me see what would be a good time. Discord ain't gonna tell me that. Calendar. So for tomorrow, let's see, because today is the 3rd. Tomorrow's the 4th. Yeah, Uso Vinny at 4 o'clock. So yeah, that's the only thing I have tomorrow is just an interview with Vinny and kicking it and taking care of my family and stuff like that. So let's plan on tomorrow at 3 o'clock Central, 4 o'clock Eastern. Okay, so about a half hour ago, but tomorrow. All right. That sounded dumb as shit. I'm never gonna say that again. But anyways, yeah. So tomorrow, 4 o'clock Eastern. I'm gonna continue on with this, but as of right now, let's do about 7 to 10 minutes more of just listening to what Destin had to say, and I'll talk over it whenever I feel the need to pause it. But thank you to everybody that's here. That's here right now. Don't leave quite yet. I ain't quite done yet, but make sure if you guys are here sticking around and having a good time and enjoying yourself, hit that like button, share this sucker out, subscribe if you're new, and if you want to become a member, you can. If you don't, I don't care. It's fine. It doesn't matter to me either way. I'm just happy to be able to spend some time with you guys, chat, and then listen to what you guys have to say in the chat and whatnot. I always love conversation, and I also like having other people on the show as well, to tomorrow I'll do it again where I send out the little invites in case anybody wants to join me. But you don't have to. You can sit back and chill and watch, and I can do all the work myself. It's nothing I'm not used to already. But anyways, let's continue. I see you, mental. Oh, sorry.
But you're the
Sorry.
head of
I thought you guys were listening to that, but I had it on
now
the wrong
look,
page.
Spencer is right to a degree. And if this were coming from a punter, a rank and file developer at a random game studio, or a mostly successful newsletter idiot, it would be fair comment. But Phil, mate, I'm sorry to point this out to you, but you're the head of Xbox. I'm not sure you get to pin all this on the macroeconomic this and that, you have had, I think it's fair to say, a degree of agency in all of this. Indeed, there are maybe half a dozen people with the power to actually change the shape of the games industry. And for the last 10 years, you have been one of them. I do not see much point in dwelling on how we got here because I think it is quite obvious to us all what's gone wrong.
My whole thing is like, what are we dwelling on exactly? Because, I mean, like I said, it feels like the whole point of a lot of these articles or something like that is to strike fear into us. Like, we're missing something. Something's not right. Something's not happening. Something's supposed to be happening right now. Nothing's happening. What's happening right now? I don't like it. Like, I'm supposed to be freaking out. They literally they just literally bought Activision. They just literally got the thumbs up to do that just like a couple months ago. Bethesda just dropped, what was it? 4 games. 2 of them were specifically on X, or excuse me, I said 4. I meant 5 games. 2 of them are still specifically only on Xbox, so that being Starfield and Redfall. But let's see, Ghostwire Tokyo, Deathloop, Hi-Fi Rush. And then on top of it, we got Obsidian, that they just dropped Pentiment, but they got Avowed coming out this year. We have let's see, what was it? Playground Games that dropped Forza Horizon 5, but now they're about to turn around and drop Fable in the next year, I'm assuming. So, I mean, what's bad right now? The only thing that's bad that I can really find is the uncertainty of not understanding the roadmap, I guess, of what their actual plan is, what they plan on doing, what's to come in the future. PlayStation already came out and said we're doing a play, or actually, did they even say that they were doing that they were going to release the place? I'm not sure if they themselves actually even came out and said anything about the Pro in particular. I think it's been a lot of people saying that it's supposed to come out around the end of the year, and then saying that it's supposed to be coming out around the time of Grand Theft Auto 6 or something like that. But I don't think Sony actually ever came out and said anything for themselves. So I mean, sure, you got a good idea that Sony is gonna probably do a pro console this generation of some sort, probably, right? And it'll probably be decent. It'll probably be nice. It probably won't be something that I need right away, but it might be something that I want to invest in the future at some point. Definitely probably not during this generation, but I collect consoles and stuff like that. I have a bunch of consoles and games and stuff like that. And if I'm gonna keep a console, like, or whatnot, I'd ideally like to get the best version of it, especially if I'm buying something from yesteryear. Okay, so if 10 years down the line, who knows, I might look at a PS5 Pro and say, oh, $200? Sure. and then get rid of the old one that I have and just have the Pro. I don't think that's crazy at all. But yeah, I mean, I just think a lot of people just don't really understand where Xbox is going and their whole ideals and like you go to a website and you see people's mission statements, right? And the mission statement is like what they're all about. Xbox kind of has a habit of changing their mission statement. Or at least, editing their mission statement. Maybe not changing it as much, maybe not like overhauling it as much as it's just like minor edits. Oh yeah, I forgot this. Oh, let's take that one away. Let's put this there instead. Just as much as I've heard about inklings of PS5 Pro and whatnot, I've heard just as much about Xbox handheld and how they actually like they had one idea for the handheld and they thought it was going to be a good idea, and then they're like, oh, we came up with a different idea, and then they overhauled that idea and made something different. I'm sure that's happened. I wouldn't be surprised if that's happened. They're looking around and saying, oh, well, we had more than we had yesterday, or we have different ideas than we had yesterday, or now we have Activision and now we have Bethesda for sure locked down. Maybe we need to adjust to get ready for this, that, and the third, or we have a opportunity to partner with Steam or Epic or something like that, and we want to take advantage of it because we work better together than we do separate. That's a possibility. That's a possibility.
All of Spencer's big bets, the pivot to subscriptions, the variable hardware SKUs, the spending spree of studio acquisitions were contingent on Xbox not just being, to borrow the Xbox tagline, the best place to play, but the best place to play the best games. If there's one lesson we can take from the Spencer era, it's that you can act all the disruptive change you like, but you cannot disprove the.
All right, I'll give him that. I'll give whoever wrote this article that, because it is, I'm not gonna lie, it is literally bullshit that any other game plays or has better features than your own main console. I'm not gonna live better at a hotel than I would at home. It might feel better for a day, maybe 2 days, maybe a week at the hotel, but eventually I want to be home. I want to be using my shit. I don't want somebody coming into my room asking me what I need. I don't want somebody, that I need to check in at the front desk. I don't want to, go down, 8 flights of stairs and then go into a parking garage to find my car. I want my car to be right here. So it's just like, why exactly would you as Xbox okay to make something look, feel, or work better on another platform than your own, when people are out here 10 times zooming, 40 times zooming, doing everything that they can to look for a fault? There's no excuse for that at all. It's embarrassing. And I mean, as much of a fan as I am of Phil Spencer, Sarah Bond, and Team Xbox and all that stuff, I had the audacity on Twitter to at both of them, sharing the clip of Digital Foundry's findings on Xbox's Hi-Fi Rush versus PlayStation 5's Hi-Fi Rush. And sure, it's not going to affect my gameplay, but it's embarrassing to see that something looks just a tad bit more crispy on the third-party machine, but on the first-party machine, it doesn't quite cut it. But yet, at the same time, the first-party machine is supposed to be stronger than the machine that you're giving it to third-party wise. It's not okay. Ghostwire Tokyo, same thing. Mental 9R in the chat says there's honestly no excuse for that. Like Ghostwire, like how Ghostwire Tokyo still plays better on PS5. They had an extra year to deliver it, and another year almost, and they've never fixed that. Yeah, another year since they actually already delivered. I see what you're saying. So yeah, and it's wild because it's like the opposite for Hi-Fi Rush, right? But they got better performance out of it instead of worse, like we got for Ghostwire Tokyo, which PlayStation got first, and then we got it, right? So that power narrative is sounding mighty fucked up. Not gonna lie about that. That's I'm not here to lie to y'all. I'm here to tell you how I see it. My opinion. But I'm not here to bullshit you into thinking that something's right when it's really wrong. It's wrong. It's stupid. It's embarrassing.
The industry's oldest truth. Great games sell consoles. $100 billion later, Xbox still doesn't have them. If anything,
see, isn't that crazy? $100 billion later, and Xbox still doesn't have. They just bought them. Did you? Who exactly expected to buy a publisher or to buy a development company and them just to, let me just shake the bottom of the bag out and see if there's any. Oh, there's like 10 games right here that were unreleased. Let's just go on ahead and throw them on our platform within 2 months of us having owned you, or within a year of having owned you, even though we know that it takes 5 to 7 years to come out with a good AAA game. You're late to the party, even though the party really barely even started.
I would argue its first party output has got worse since the shopping spree began, and its struggles are, as such,
The first run that back for me.
Xbox still got worse since the shopping. If anything, I would argue its first party output has got worse since the shopping spree began.
That makes no sense. That literally makes no sense. Because you know what was there before we got Bethesda, before we got Activision? You know what was there? What did we get for 2020 before the shopping spree started? What did Xbox get for 2020 before the shopping spree started? If it's worse now than before the shopping spree started, I need you to break it down for me. What part of it was better back then than it is now? Game Pass didn't have near as. Do you remember Game Pass back in 2020? Do you remember Game Pass back in 2020? Do you remember Game Pass in 2020? Hell, do you remember Game Pass in 2021? You know what I remember Game Pass for back in 2020? Is thinking, man, Game Pass is going to have a lot of games someday. That's what I thought about Game Pass back in 2020. It's going to have a lot of games that I'll want to play someday. But it wasn't then. It wasn't then. No. Remember Game Pass back then, you got a little while after the console released, you got a few Xbox Series S and X updates like Hellblade and whatnot. Let's see. I'm trying to remember what other games were. Sea of Thieves was there. He had Gears 5 was there. That was a banger. I mean, you can say that. The first party output's better then than it was now? I mean, talk about digging. You are digging where there is nothing. There was nothing. You're telling me back in 2020, in 2021, bro, you're telling me that I had more shit to play, dog? Are you out of your mind? Let's talk about 2022. It's worse in 2023 and 2024 after the shopping spree than it was in 2020 to 2022. How high can you be?
And its struggles are, as such, has got.
I just want to hear him say it one more time because this is so crazy.
Games sell consoles. $100 billion later, Xbox still doesn't have them. If anything, I would argue its first-party output has got worse since the shopping spree began, and its struggles are, as such, no surprise at all. I gotta be honest, y'all. I don't think Nathan said anything too crazy in his introductory statements.
What? And with that, I'm wrapping the show up. I can't take any more of this. I can't take any more of this. That's nuts. That is freaking insane. Oh, he didn't say anything too crazy. He just completely lied about the current state of Xbox first party games compared to a couple years ago. If Xbox's first party was better in the early stages of the Series S and X, then why would they have even bought anybody in the first place? I mean, just a question. If they were doing great before, why are they making any changes? Why did they make changes if they were doing great? One last time, I'm gonna listen to it one last time because I just think it's so funny. It's so funny hearing that because it makes zero sense. Hello, Mr. Joanna Dark. Brother, Mr. Joanna Dark, listen to this bullshit right here.
It's that you can act all the disruptive change you like, but you cannot disprove the industry's oldest truth. Great games sell consoles.
That's not a lie. Great games do sell consoles.
$100 billion later, Xbox still doesn't have them. If anything, I would argue its first-party output has got worse since the shopping spree began.
I mean, how?
And its struggles are, as such, no surprise at all. I gotta be honest, y'all. I don't think Nathan said anything too crazy in his introduction.
Yo, what the fuck? What the fuck? We literally I'm getting sick, y'all. This is making me sick. We literally just got out of the year where where a lot of people just said, Xbox, where you been? Good to see you. We just got done with a year where everybody was saying that this could possibly be the best year in gaming. That wasn't very long ago, right? I'm not losing my mind, am I? We just got done with a year where Hi-Fi Rush was in the 90s. Redfall was that was rough. Yeah. But then they recouped. I'd say they recouped with Starfield. A lot of people played that game. It was talked about for the rest of the year for the good and bad. Forza Motorsport came out. That's 4 first-party games in just a year. Did I miss a game? Because I feel like I missed a game. But I want you to tell me, what other year did Xbox have 4 first-party games up to 2023? 2022. I mean, 2020, we know it was none. 2021, it was recently acquired Psychonauts, Halo, Forza. What, 2022 was Pentiment? I don't know. But anyways, you guys, I've been here for almost 2 hours. I'm gonna go kick it with the wife. Go see what the child is up to, what kind of mess she's making and whatnot. But make sure you guys catch me tomorrow, 4:00 Eastern. Yeah, okay. So yeah, 4:00 Eastern. I fucked up the time earlier when I was telling you guys the time. 4:00 Eastern, 3:00 here in the Lord's time, in the Central time. But I appreciate you guys for sliding through. Like I said before, please hit that like button. I need to get better at saying this stuff, so I'm trying to practice now. Please hit that like button. Share it out. Let other folks know that your boy Ham Solo went live, solo dolo today. If you want to become a member, you're more than welcome. It's $2. That'll just be more supportive. I'd be happy to see that. But if you don't, it's all good too. It ain't no thing. It ain't no thing. But I appreciate y'all for sliding through. Your boy Ham Solo, checking me out while I'm doing this thing solo for the day. But yeah, I'll see y'all tomorrow. I'll get the thumbnail and everything done tonight, so you guys can see what to click on and whatnot. If you need to, I don't know, hit the save the date or whatever that button is, to be able to track when I go live. But I'll get that up later on tonight. Also, later on tonight, I'm gonna try to get up one of the video games that I was working on, which is Enter the Chronosphere. I'm gonna try to get that out to you guys tonight. If not, it'll have to be out tomorrow. And yeah, y'all have a wonderful rest of the day. It was good hanging out with y'all for the little while I did. It's your boy Ham Solo 05 Gaming from TSWS Gaming, letting you know, keep it gaming or keep it moving. Peace.
I'm steady grilling opposition. I'm get up and ready to win. They can play it how they play, but fuck what you say. I'm getting this money today. Last of us like a dying breed. Down the ride like a noble steed. Fatality moves, I make it bleed. That's on any game, that's on any screen. Shut up and give me your money. They said we so lit. Even if I take an L, we coming back just to show that we don't quit.